Hello and welcome to DUI's first impressions and banner review for April Flash Gala. I hope you guys all had a great Guild War and that you achieved all the goals that you aimed for. If you guys didn't hear, the next Guild War is in June and it will be a Dark Favored. You can see that info right here under Unite and Fight Concluded. And it says on June 21st to June 28th, we have the boss's element being light, which means that it's Dark Favored Guild War in June. Now, this unfortunately does clash with Elden Ring DLC, so if you're hoping to play that, yeah, I'm a bit sad. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about the characters. So, first up, we have two new permanent characters joining our rosters. We have Light Arn and we have Wind Spinnah, finally getting an SSR. Alright, let's talk about Arn first. So, Arn is a defensive support, providing some buffs of that nature, and also most notably providing some handy access to some dispels. So, let's have a look at her kit. This skill here, the first skill, Divine Spell, is very reminiscent of her water version. It provides a bunch of defense up and some potent stackables. These go up to 30%, they stack 10% each time. And while this skill's cooldown might seem long at 10 turns, which is reduced to 9 turns when she levels up, it is also further reduced every time she has 10 or more buffs at the end of the turn. Secondly, her second skill most notably provides defense down and also some charge attack for herself. Now this is good because Arn has a charge bar limit of 200% and can only charge attack, at 200% meter. This is very similar once again to her water version. She has a really powerful charge attack, unworldly light damage, and it also provides some cut to your allies, which is obviously good defensively, and it ends her red skills cooldown, which she has 2 of. So this charge attack is really strong, and to balance it out, they've made it so that it only works once she has 200% bar. So this second skill, giving her bar, is really nice in helping that sort of along a little bit. And then, this skill here, her passive rather, once she's targeted or every time she's targeted by a light ally's buff skill or a healing skill, it raises her unique spirit level stack by 1. This spirit stack increases her multi-attack rate, but most notably, once it's at level 5, it will auto-activate her second skill whenever it happens. So she will become sort of like an auto-nuker once she hits level 5 spirit level. So that's pretty good. And the other big benefit of having level 5 spirit is that her third skill will activate twice, which means that she will double dispel. And if you remember, this comes off cooldown on her charge attack as well. So basically, Arn is looking to be a really solid utility support character. And in fact, she might have been quite useful in the last Guild War just this last week for some full auto setups. So it's a little unfortunate that she's releasing right now. That being said, she is a permanent character, so it's not, everything here isn't that crazy, but it's a solid permanent character for sure. Alright, let's move on. Let's talk about Spinnah next. So Spinnah is wind much like his other rare and SR versions. And he retains a lot of the flavor he has from those kits as well. So let's take a look. First up, his first skill lets him have double strike for 5 turns, and it will provide him with echoes for 5 turns if his spin level is 5 or above. His spin level is his unique stack. It goes from 0 all the way up to 10, and it does various different things when, most notably, if it's either at above 5 or it's at 0, or and 10, I guess, yeah. So there's that. And then I want to quickly jump over to this skill, which is the other big one, which is that it supplements Spinnah's normal attack damage for 3 turns, and it also gives him 1 turn flurry, 3-hit flurry. So this skill is quite good, but it does require spin level 10, and upon use, it resets his spin level all the way back to 0. Now, this sort of sounds bad, but it synergizes nicely with his second passive here, which is that he starts the battle at level 10. So you don't have to wait to get his spin level up to 10. He does start with it. So pretty much how this is going to go, for the most part, is, if you use him in full auto, is that at the start of the battle, he'll start at 10. Your yellow skills are clicked in order, so he'll click this, you'll get the echo because he's still above level 5. you'll click this, it raises spin level by 2, but it doesn't do anything because you can't go above 10. And then finally, this skill will reset it all the way back to 0, meaning that pretty much he gets full benefit of his skills on turn 1. And then, in the second part of this passive is that he gains bonus wind damage when spin level is at 0. So basically, he gives himself 2 sources of echo. First one through this skill here, because his spin level is above 5 originally. And secondly, because his spin level is at 0 after using this skill. So, along with this, his guaranteed triple attack passive, which does give him a pretty hefty, I believe it was 30%, let me double check. No, it's 60%, sorry. 60% hit to attack, so pretty hefty hit there. So along with this, his skill set sort of synergizes together. He's a selfish attacker, obviously, and pretty much he looks to be more of a fun sort of full auto character for very sort of short raids, more short fights, where you aren't staying in the fight for very long, because all these other skills, like, they do lose their benefit after a while. The double strike is quite strong, don't get me wrong, but yeah. He's not going to be used in any sort of burst, so if you're thinking that, hey, the double strike and the echo and the flurry look really strong, maybe he replaces somebody. Unfortunately, right now, Wynn's premium burst characters are far too good compared to this character. And the other thing is this 60% hit to attack will probably impact a few things, especially against high defense foes. But what Spinnah does look good in, like I mentioned, is for developing accounts, and you just want guaranteed damage on turn 1. Like, he'll be really good for that sort of thing. So for newer accounts and, you know, for collection purposes, I think he will be fine for that. All right, so let's talk about the other rate ups on the banner. So let's scroll down, go to Premium Draw Update. So on this banner, we also have Olivia, Grand on rate up, and Lich, Pain and Suffering on rate up. Olivia is a weird character, mostly because she's typically only really used in Guild War. And the reason she's only really used in Guild War, for the most part, at the moment, is because of how her first skill's debuff goes. So this skill right here, it inflicts this debuff, the Twilight Terror debuff. Charged diamonds don't fill up and can't use special attacks. Typically in Guild War, this sort of debuff has shown up and has had an impact. Outside of Guild War, this debuff tends to just not work, but notably in Guild War, it does. So Olivia, for that reason, has been used in Guild War in the past for that. But it is really only for the really optimal setups. And outside of those, people tend to use other characters. Secondly, her weapon, Fallen Sword. It is a really good source of raw attack, and it recently did get an awakening for multi-attack, most notably. Now, this past Guild War, we did see Eden with multi-attack awakening used quite frequently alongside the newly released Sandy weapon. So Fallen Sword, if Dark gets an Exalted weapon, might be in a similar boat, but this is probably a weapon you won't be using more than 1 or 2 copies of maximum, and it's really only for optimized grids. Alright, let's talk about Lich next. Lich, obviously a very strong character, a skill-based damaged character, mostly for full auto these days, can be used in some HL contexts for the light switch. So it has been used in things like Hexa and Far Zero, although in Far Zero there is a bit of a negative synergy with Clarity and her debuffs that she self-inflicts, because she needs those debuffs to provide a bunch of damage, but people are Claritying all the time, so you lose those debuffs, so it sort of sucks there. But regardless, it's still a very good and strong character. But for Guild War, probably only full auto. Her weapon, however, this is a bit of a weird one, because Pain and Suffering is obviously good, and for Magna, you can even use it in Magna, so it's good there. But what I do want to mention slightly is that in Light Guild War, we actually started seeing people dropping Pain and Suffering, and it's purely because that this supplemental damage mod, it's strong, but it is a flat damage number, whereas things like FS, Sandy's weapon, is amplified damage, which is a percentage-based increase. So as the game progresses and our grids get stronger, basically what we're seeing is that the numbers are getting so big that this flat damage number from the supplemental isn't keeping up anymore. It's not always the case, but it is significant that we are seeing grids start to drop this sort of weapon. So we didn't see Harmonia in some of those light grids. Not all of them, but some of them. Like I said, in Magna, it is still very good, and in Primal, it will still be good for most cases, but not all cases. So yeah, just keep that in mind. All right, so with all that out of the way, should you spark this banner. No, this banner sucks. This banner sucks. I do not recommend sparking this banner. 2 permanent characters, no grands, no limits, like no seasonals, nothing like that. It's a hard pass. It can be really fun to like maybe pair up your Arn with your Light Greya, because they obviously synergize really well together, and it could be fun using Spinnah, but with the upcoming banners and the time it takes to save up your crystals, I do not recommend it. So most notably, we have the June Flash Gala coming up. So June Flash, typically in the past, has your anniversary rerun. The anniversary event from past years gets rerun in June, and normally it brings a new Grand. So we can see that in 2023, we had Grand Cosmos on this banner. So there was that. In 2022, we had Galleon, June Flash. And then in 2021, we had Nehan. So this Flash June Gala is typically very good, and this time it will be right before Dark Guild War. So especially if you're a Dark main, chances are there might be a Dark Grand here right before Guild War. So I would be holding your funds for this banner here. And if you're not, the thing is, Granblue's summer season starts at the end of June. So in June, Legend Gala, that's when summer starts happening. So saving your pools for summer right now, for most people, is definitely the correct choice, and I do not recommend sparking on this banner, despite how enticing someone like Lich might look. So yeah, that's that. All right, anyways, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye. Bye-bye.